I know what people are saying about me, that I'm a monster, that I ruined my daughter's engagement party with a slap scene by everyone from the cake table to the DJ booth. But none of those judgmental people whispering in corners, know what it's like to be a mother, a real mother, a mother who sacrificed everything to raise two daughters alone after her husband passed away and left behind nothing but debt and a half-paid mortgage. And now they think I should just sit there quietly and let my eldest daughter, Lila, treat her sister like trash? After everything I've done for them? No, I won't apologize. I won't. The engagement party was supposed to be a celebration. It was held at the Willow Creek Country Club, all white roses and champagne flutes, and string quartets in the background. Everyone was dressed to impress. Lila wore a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. And standing next to her was her fiancé, Michael, smiling like he was the one who built her success. But I knew better. I built her. I took on extra shifts, skipped meals, and begged banks to give us loans so she could go to college. I cleaned office floors at 3 a.m. and sewed her dresses by hand for every school dance. And now, when it's time for her to give something back, not even to me, but to her sister, she says no? It was just $60,000. 60,000. A fund she wasn't even supposed to have until her wedding. A wedding that, let's be honest, wouldn't even exist if I hadn't pushed her to stop wasting time on that musician ex of hers and find someone like Michael. And her sister, sweet, fragile Sophie, needed that money. Not for shoes or handbags, no. Sophie got accepted into an accelerated grad program, and the deadline to pay tuition was coming up. We didn't have time. We didn't have options. I thought, surely Lila would understand. Surely she'd remember where she came from. So when I pulled her aside right before the toast and quietly asked her to transfer the fund to Sophie, I expected at least a conversation. Not that icy look. Not that arrogant, it's my money, and I'm not giving it to anyone tone. That's when I lost it. I slapped her. Yes, I slapped her, because sometimes words aren't enough. Because sometimes when your own daughter looks at you like a stranger, you need to remind her who raised her. The room fell silent. Gasps, clinking glasses, a dropped phone. Lila didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just stared at me, cold and calm like I was beneath her. Then she stepped back, brushed off her cheek, and said something I'll never forget. You just made this easy for me. What does that even mean? Easy for what? She turned around, walked to the microphone, and I swear the air froze. Every person in that room turned toward her as she tapped the mic twice. Then she began to speak. Lila tapped the microphone once. Then again. The room stilled. Even the music cut off, like the speakers themselves were holding their breath. She didn't look at me. She didn't raise her voice. She just said, "Some people spend their whole lives pretending to be martyrs while making everyone else bleed for their sainthood." A few guests chuckled, confused, thinking it was part of a joke. But I knew. I knew it was about me. She continued, calm as ever. "You all know my mother, the woman who raised two daughters by herself, who always reminded us that everything she did was for us." She smiled, not a warm smile, the kind that slices. She forgot to mention the price tag, because in our home, love wasn't free. It was transactional. I felt my throat close up. My hand still tingled from the slap, but it was nothing compared to the sting behind her words. I wanted to stop her, but I couldn't move. For years, Lila went on, I worked 2 jobs while going to college, even when Mom told everyone she fully funded my education. I was on scholarships, loans. Michael helped. But Mom, she took credit for all of it. I could hear people shifting in their seats now. Whispers, eyes flicking toward me. Lila turned her gaze straight at me for the first time. And it chilled me. When I got the scholarship, you said it was because of the tutoring you paid for. When I got engaged, you said it was because you guided me toward someone decent. And now, you demand $60,000 for my wedding fund to give to my sister. Sophie shrank in her seat. Poor thing. I didn't mean to drag her into this. I just wanted her to have a chance. Something stable. But now she looked like she wanted to disappear. Lila's voice hardened. Let me be clear. I love Sophie, but I will not fund your manipulations anymore. I will not reward your control, dressed up as care. A few people gasped. Someone in the back muttered, damn. And I wanted the floor to open. She stepped down from the mic, walked past me without a glance, as if I didn't exist. I followed her outside. My heels clicked fast on the marble, heart thudding in my ears. I called her name, once, twice, before she finally turned. You embarrassed me, Lila. In front of everyone, she crossed her arms. You slapped me in front of everyone. I just told the truth. That wasn't the truth, I hissed. That was your version. Twisted and cruel. She just shook her head. No, Mom. You've spent so long spinning the story. You forgot what actually happened. I did everything for you girls, I said. Everything. She looked at me, and something in her eyes shattered me more than the slap ever could. No, Mom, she whispered. You did everything for control. You just called it love. Then she walked away, heels echoing like gunshots against the stone path. And I knew, right then, I had lost her. Not just for tonight, not just for the party, but maybe forever. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? I kept playing it over and over, the way she looked at me, the way she spoke like I was just another chapter in her trauma story. And then the worst part. The silence after she walked away. I waited until morning to call her. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd cool down. Remembered that family fights happen, that mothers and daughters argue. But she didn't pick up. Not the first call. Not the fifth. By noon, my number was blocked. That night, I showed up at her apartment. I brought her favorite pastries from that little French bakery she loved as a kid. And flowers, too. I stood outside in the cold, knocking gently, hoping she'd see me and remember the good. She opened the door. But only halfway. Her expression was calm, unreadable. I just want to talk, I said softly. Please. She didn't invite me in. You said everything you wanted to say already, didn't you? With your hand. I flinched. Lila, I'm your mother. You can't just shut me out like this. She folded her arms. You're right. You are my mother. But that doesn't give you a lifetime pass to humiliate me. I tried to laugh it off. Oh, come on, it was just a slap. I was upset. People say worse things when they're angry. She didn't laugh. You didn't just slap me, Mom. You tried to make my engagement party about your control. You expected me to sacrifice my future again for Sophie. And when I didn't, you punished me. Publicly. I swallowed hard. It wasn't like that, wasn't it? She snapped. You've always decided what I should do, who I should be, and when I push back, you call me ungrateful. You are ungrateful. I burst out. After everything I gave up, everything I did for you. There it is, she said, voice quiet. The price tag again. I froze. I never asked you to give up your life, she continued. You chose that, but now you're bitter. And instead of healing, you weaponize it. My throat tightened. I didn't know what to say. The words just evaporated. She leaned against the door. I've spent years walking on eggshells around your moods, rearranging my life so you wouldn't feel left behind. But this time, I'm done. I'm choosing peace. I stepped forward, panicked. So what? This is it. You're cutting me off. I'm choosing distance, she said, until you can see me as a person. Not just a product of your sacrifice. The door closed gently, not slammed, just closed. I stood there, heart pounding, face burning from the cold, or maybe from shame. I wasn't sure anymore. I walked back to my car, pastries still untouched in the paper bag. For a second, I thought about throwing them away. But instead, I placed them on the passenger seat and sat in silence. I still didn't think I was the villain. Not really. I was a mother. I made mistakes, sure. But doesn't every mother? Still. Something in her voice haunted me. Not the anger, but the calm, the finality. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just walked away. And somehow, that broke me more than anything else could have. The next weekend, I attended my cousin's birthday brunch, not because I cared for the quiche or the mimosas, but because I needed someone, anyone, to tell me I wasn't crazy. They were all there. Aunt Marlene, Uncle Greg, even Lila's godmother, Carol, the one who used to call me the strongest woman she knew. I sat at the table, smiling tight, waiting for someone to bring it up. They didn't, so I did. Did you all hear what Lila did? I said, light-hearted, like it was gossip instead of heartbreak. Blocked me, after everything I've done for her. All because I asked her to help her sister. Can you believe that? The table went still. Greg looked down at his eggs. Marlene stirred her coffee, like it owed her answers. Carol glanced up, eyes sharp, unreadable. She said you slapped her, Carol said slowly. I blinked. Well, yes. But only because she pushed me so far. She humiliated me in front of all those people. She made me look like a fool. Marlene cleared her throat. Did you slap her in front of everyone? I waved it off. It wasn't that dramatic. I mean, yes, it happened. But people exaggerate. Carol didn't blink. She didn't. The silence after that was unbearable. I shifted in my seat, suddenly too warm despite the chill in the room. Look, I'm the one who raised her, I said, trying again. Her father died. I had nothing. I held that whole house together with my bare hands. I worked double shifts, sold jewelry, gave up my life so they could have theirs. And this is how she repays me. Greg finally spoke, voice calm. You did sacrifice a lot, Marie. No one's denying that. But love isn't a debt your kids have to repay. I stared at him. So I should just stand by while one daughter has everything and the other gets nothing? Carol leaned in. Or maybe. You should have asked without demanding. Listened instead of assuming. Let her be an adult making her own decisions. I swallowed. She called me controlling. You are, Marlene said softly. You always were. But we thought you'd grow out of it. My chest tightened. You're all taking her side? No one's picking sides, Carol said. We're just not ignoring the damage anymore. I stood up, heart pounding. I came here for support, not to be ambushed. Carol's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Maybe you came here for validation. Not the truth. I left. I didn't even wait for the check. Stormed out, heels clicking hard on the sidewalk, muttering curses under my breath. Ungrateful. All of them. But even as I sat in my car, door slammed shut, engine cold. The words replayed, not ignoring the damage anymore. Love isn't a debt. You always were controlling. I clenched the steering wheel, trying to shake it off. But the truth has a way of sticking. Even when you don't want to hear it. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, for almost an hour, watching people laugh through the glass, toast over their empty plates, like nothing had happened. And for the first time, I wondered if I had pushed everyone too far. But no. I was the mother. I had given everything. If anyone should be begging for forgiveness, it was them, right? 3 weeks passed, and still no message, no call, no knock on the door. My apartment felt colder than usual, like silence had settled into the walls and refused to leave. Each morning I made coffee for 2, then poured half of it down the drain. Every time the doorbell rang, my heart leapt, only to crash moments later. I did something I never thought I would. I checked social media, Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn. Lila was silent. Nothing. Just one photo from Sophie, posted a few days ago. It showed the two of them, arms wrapped around each other, standing on the balcony of Lila's apartment. Sunlight behind them, faces calm. The caption was short, but it stabbed me right in the chest. Healing, finally. I stared at the screen for minutes. My throat went dry. Healing? From me? I sat in my kitchen for hours that day, thinking, blaming, then trying not to blame, telling myself I was the mother, that mothers make sacrifices, that daughters forget, that this too would pass. And then, on Monday morning, I found an envelope in the mail. No return address, just my name, written in Lila's handwriting. I held it like it was made of glass. Inside was no letter, no apology, no invitation to talk things over. It was a bank statement. I frowned. It was from the wedding account I had opened for Lila years ago, the one I had carefully built, little by little, through extra shifts and skipped vacations. The one she wasn't even supposed to access until closer to the wedding. But at the bottom, in bold letters, it said, account closed. Funds transferred. New account holder, Lila Hammond. Independent access only. No authorized co-signers. My hands trembled. She had moved the money, all of it, into an account under her name alone. I had no more access, no more control, no more say. And tucked beneath the statement was a small handwritten note. Just one line. Love isn't a contract, Mom. It's not something I owe you. The paper slipped from my fingers, floated gently to the floor like a final verdict. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, staring at it. That one line hit harder than any slap ever could. She hadn't just taken the money. She'd taken her voice back, her power, her boundaries, and she made it clear I was no longer part of that equation. I always thought I was the strong one, the backbone of the family, the one who kept everything from falling apart. But maybe I was the weight pulling it all down. Still, even now, a part of me refuses to believe I'm the villain. I'm the mother. I did what I had to do. I gave up everything. If she can't see that, then maybe she never will. Maybe this was her way of saying goodbye, not with words, but with silence. And silence is sometimes the loudest answer. It's strange, isn't it? How silence becomes the loudest sound in a mother's life. There was a time when my phone never stopped ringing. 2 daughters, always needing something. A ride. A loan. Advice. Permission. Now, days pass without a single vibration. Just the sound of the fridge humming and the occasional car outside. People always say time heals, that eventually the anger fades and families come back together. But what if the distance becomes comfortable? What if they never need you again? Some days I tell myself this is temporary, that Lila will come around, that she'll realize how harsh she was, that she'll look at her own child one day and finally understand the burden I carried, the choices I made, the pain I swallowed. But other days, I wonder if I crossed a line I can't uncross. You see, I didn't just slap her. I slapped everything she thought she'd finally escaped from. The control, the guilt, the endless bartering for affection. I didn't mean to. I just reacted, like I always do, like I was taught to do. You keep the family in line. You do what it takes. And now I sit here, surrounded by the trophies of motherhood, old report cards, baby shoes in a box, the wedding catalog I kept hidden in the drawer for years. All of it feels useless. Sophie still texts me. Short things. Updates. She's kind, but distant. She knows the ground we're walking is fragile, maybe even fake. I ask about Lila. She never replies to that part. I ran into Michael once at the grocery store. He saw me and nodded politely, then moved to another aisle. Not a word. Just distance. People don't tell you that the scariest thing isn't being hated. It's being irrelevant. I look at the empty chair across from mine and sometimes imagine her sitting there again, laughing at something ridiculous, asking me about centerpieces, rolling her eyes when I criticize her shoes. But then I remember her voice. Steady, sharp, unshakable. You did everything for control. You just called it love. Maybe that's true. Maybe I did confuse love with obedience, with sacrifice, with power. But no one ever taught me anything different. I was raised to believe that a good mother gives and gives and gives. And when she has nothing left, she takes control. Because control feels safer than chaos. Control means you're still needed. Now I'm not needed, and I don't know who I am without that. People call what Lila did setting boundaries. I call it betrayal, but maybe the truth is somewhere in between. And I'm too proud to admit it, so I stay quiet. I go on with my days. I cook meals for one. I fold laundry that doesn't pile up like it used to. I talk to pictures like they'll talk back. And sometimes I rehearse apologies I'll never say out loud. Because I still believe I was right. But deep down, there's a voice that whispers, maybe you lost her the moment you made love a transaction. And the worst part, I don't think I'll ever get the chance to undo it.